Why you tripping, Debo? Shut up, punk, I'll knock your ass out.
Oh, man, that's messed up. Won't you give him back his chain?
What chain?
Yeah, what chain?
As we look at the current state of world politics, it's hard to ignore the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The United States has provided significant financial assistance to Ukraine in recent years, with millions of dollars being allocated to the country in the form of aid. But why does America give so much money to Ukraine? To understand this, we must first examine the history of the conflict and the current state of the situation. Narrator: The conflict in Ukraine began in 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea and backed separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine. The situation quickly escalated into a full-blown conflict, with Russia denying involvement and accusing the Ukrainian government of aggression. The United States and other Western nations imposed economic sanctions on Russia in response to the annexation of Crimea, and have supported Ukraine in the conflict. Narrator: So why does the United States support Ukraine? One reason is to protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country. The United States has a long-standing commitment to upholding international laws and norms, and the annexation of Crimea by Russia is seen as a violation of these principles. By providing financial assistance to Ukraine, the United States is showing its support for the Ukrainian government, and its efforts to maintain its independence and territorial integrity. Narrator: Another reason for the United States' support of Ukraine is to counter Russian influence in the region. Ukraine is located in a strategic location, with Russia to the east and the European Union to the west. If Russia were able to exert its influence over Ukraine, it would have significant control over the region and could potentially threaten the security of the European Union. By providing financial assistance to Ukraine, the United States is helping to bolster the country's resilience against Russian aggression and interference. Narrator: The United States also provides financial assistance to Ukraine in order to support its efforts to reform and modernize its economy. Ukraine has been struggling with economic instability and corruption in recent years, and the United States has provided aid to help the country address these challenges. This includes funding for economic development programs, infrastructure projects, and efforts to promote transparency and good governance. By supporting these reforms, the United States hopes to help Ukraine become a more stable and prosperous nation. Narrator: In addition to these strategic and economic considerations, the United States also supports Ukraine because of its shared values and history. The United States and Ukraine have a strong partnership, based on shared democratic values and a commitment to human rights. The United States has a history of supporting the Ukrainian people in their efforts to achieve independence and democratic reforms, and this continues today through its financial assistance. Narrator: In summary, the United States provides financial assistance to Ukraine for a variety of reasons. These include protecting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country, countering Russian influence, supporting economic reform and modernization, and upholding shared values and history. By providing this support, the United States is helping Ukraine navigate a complex and challenging situation and work towards a more stable and prosperous future. As tensions continue to rise between the United States and Ukraine, many are wondering if the two countries will eventually go to war. While it is impossible to predict the future, it is important to examine the current state of relations between the two nations and consider the potential consequences of a conflict. First, let's take a look at the current state of affairs between the United States and Ukraine. Relations between the two countries have been strained in recent years, with the United States supporting Ukraine's efforts to resist Russian aggression and maintain its sovereignty. However, these tensions have been exacerbated by the ongoing impeachment proceedings against President Donald Trump, which have included allegations of his attempt to pressure the Ukrainian government to investigate his political rivals. In addition to these political tensions, there are also economic and military considerations to consider. The United States is Ukraine's largest trading partner, with over $7 billion in goods and services exchanged in 2018 alone. A conflict between the two countries could have significant economic consequences for both sides. Furthermore, the United States has a significant military presence in the region, with thousands of troops stationed in countries such as Poland and Romania. A war with Ukraine could lead to a larger conflict with Russia, which has a long history of hostility towards the United States. So, what are the chances that the United States will go to war with Ukraine? It is important to note that both sides have shown a willingness to engage in diplomacy and avoid conflict. In fact, the United States has provided significant military and economic assistance to Ukraine in recent years as part of its efforts to resist Russian aggression. Additionally, the United States has strong military and economic ties with other countries in the region, including NATO allies such as Poland and Romania. These countries would likely be involved in any conflict with Ukraine, further complicating the situation. Overall, while it is impossible to predict the future, it seems unlikely that the United States will go to war with Ukraine. However, it is important for both sides to continue to engage in diplomacy and work towards a peaceful resolution to their differences. The question of whether or not Ukraine has a good military is a complex one that depends on a variety of factors. On one hand, Ukraine has a long history of military service and has traditionally been considered a strong military power in the region. However, in recent years, Ukraine's military has faced numerous challenges and has undergone significant changes, leading some to question its effectiveness. To begin with, it's important to consider the size and strength of Ukraine's military. As of 2021, Ukraine has a total of 250,000 active personnel, making it one of the largest militaries in Europe. It is also home to a number of specialized units, including the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces, which are highly trained and well-equipped. Despite these impressive numbers, however, Ukraine's military has faced numerous challenges in recent years. One of the biggest challenges has been the ongoing conflict with Russia, which has resulted in significant casualties and damaged equipment. Additionally, Ukraine has had to deal with a lack of funding and modern equipment, which has limited its ability to effectively defend itself. Another challenge for Ukraine's military has been the issue of corruption. There have been numerous reports of corruption within the military, including the sale of weapons and equipment on the black market, and the misappropriation of funds. This has led to a lack of trust in the military among the Ukrainian people, which has further eroded its effectiveness. Despite these challenges, however, there are also many reasons to believe that Ukraine has a good military. For one, the Ukrainian military has a strong tradition of service and is made up of highly skilled and dedicated personnel. Additionally, the Ukrainian military has made significant strides in modernizing its equipment and training in recent years, which has helped to increase its capabilities. One example of Ukraine's military modernization efforts is the development of its own domestic defense industry. In the past, Ukraine relied heavily on foreign countries for military equipment, but in recent years, it has developed a number of domestic companies that produce everything from small arms to aircraft. This has helped Ukraine to become more self-sufficient, and has increased its military capabilities.